Me, a 22-year-old female, with my fellow student, a 22-year-old female, is trying to blackmail me into writing her thesis. I am not the OOP. OOP is you/Julie 586 me, a 22-year-old female with my fellow student, a 22-year-old female, is trying to blackmail me into writing her thesis. Original post May 31, 2016. I'm at my wit's end with this very effed up situation with my fellow student Danielle. I will be a bit vague here because a lot of my friends use Reddit. Danielle and I are in college. We're both working on our bachelor's degree. We started out as friends, but our relationship got a bit weird. She was often acting really entitled and like I had to cater to her every need. She would also scream at me often, especially when we were out partying. Because of that, I decided to not spend any more time with her around last Christmas. However, in the 2 years I was friends with her, she naturally learned a lot about me. Some of those things could definitely get me into legal trouble. I haven't talked to Danielle in a few months, but I heard that she is having trouble keeping up with her courses. Some weeks ago, she showed up at my place, drunk, and told me that she expects me to write her thesis. It's a 50-page essay we have to hand in until July, and it will be crucial to finishing our degree, or else she will tell everyone, including the police, about the stuff I did. And yes, she also has proof. I thought it was a stupid joke, or that she was just super drunk until I came home yesterday and found a note from her saying the same exact thing and a USB stick with her working title and some ebooks I should include in my writing. Reddit, what do I do here? Write the damn thing for her. Don't, and risk her going to the police. I can't really risk that, though. She could get me in serious trouble. I have spoken to one friend of mine, and he told me to write it, but write it badly. I'd give that such a good idea. Also, I still have to finish up my own thesis. I have no idea if I will even be able to write hers in time. TL, doctor. Fellow college student knows some things about me that could get me into serious trouble. She now wants me to write a 50-page essay for her. How do I avoid this? Edit, I was hoping I didn't have to say what I did, but here goes. I had a short fling with one of the assistant professors. He didn't know I was a student there, though. It was a complicated situation. Anyway, I got my hands on some exam sheets and sent them to several friends, including Danielle. So her proof is that email with the attachment. It's pretty solid proof. I sent it from my spam email address that I normally don't use, which doesn't have my name in it, but I'm sure they could backtrack it with IP address and so on. There is no way I will come clean to the university, as I will probably get expelled. I should also add that in the note I got from her, she is explicitly accusing me of that, with name of the course, date of the exam, so I am very reluctant to show it to anyone. Relevant comments, Cortisoft, nah. They can't backtrack it to find the IP. I am a network engineer with a lot of experience with email. Whoever is your email provider, i.e. Google if you use Gmail, would have logs of the IP address you were using when you send your emails, and your IP address for when you check your email. How long they keep those logs varies from provider to provider, but it isn't going to be something they keep for years. The person and email provider you send email to, however, would not know your IP address. They only know the IP of your email provider. Let's say you committed a serious crime. The cops would have to go to your provider, say, Gmail, with a warrant and ask for the IP addresses you access the email from. Then, they would have to find which ISP controls those IP addresses and ask them who those addresses were assigned to at that time. Again, that is not data they hold onto forever. Lastly, they would have to find out which person was using the address. If you are in a shared apartment or were accessing a public Wi-Fi, that would be impossible. The cops aren't going to do this for something as minor as academic fraud, which is probably not even a crime, merely an honor code violation. And Google, or whoever your email provider is, isn't going to turn that data over without a warrant. I would not worry about your IP being tracked. Tangential diversion blackmail is illegal. Googling state name plus blackmail law should give you the relevant laws. If you have proof she was going to blackmail you in writing of some kind, e.g. text, then kindly inform her to fluff off. Update June 2, 2016, 2 days later. Hi everyone, and thanks so much for all your great advice in my original post. TL, Doctor of Original Poster. A fellow student is trying to blackmail me into writing her thesis. If I don't, she said she would tell everyone what I did, sleep with an assistant professor, and send a picture of some exam sheets to friends. First off, I wanted to clarify something because there seems to be a misunderstanding regarding my edit in the original poster. The exam sheets I sent to my friends were of a completely unrelated course, and we didn't actually use them, so there was no cheating involved or something. Here's what happened, and I'm aware that this makes me look super stupid. I met a guy, let's call him Tom, at the place where I work part-time. He asked me out on a date, and we had 3 dates as a whole. He obviously thought I worked full-time at that place we met. He, on the other hand, told me he was a researcher, maybe because it sounds more exciting than being a professor at 28, or maybe he's both. I know it might sound unbelievable that me being a student never came up, but we both had traveled a bit and mainly talked about that. After 3 dates, I slept at his place for the first time, and when he went to buy breakfast in the morning, I looked around a bit in his apartment, and there were some exam sheets on his desk. There was one with the answer key, and then some exams that were already taken by students, so he was correcting those tests. I texted a friend of mine, not Danielle. Oh shit, I think he's a professor. Friend texts back, no way, he's too young. Proof. She had seen pictures of him. I then took a pic of the answer sheet and sent an email to 4 friends of mine, including Danielle, writing something really douchey along the lines of, "This is how you get yourself through college," or something. It was supposed to be funny, but I cringed typing that. I realize now that I was actually super lucky, because I lost my iPhone that week and had to use an old phone of mine without WhatsApp, where the email app was not linked to my college email address. So that's why I didn't just send the pic via app, but had to send it over email with my old spam email address. I hadn't used that address in at least 5 years, and that was the only time I used it because the next day, I got my iPhone back. Also, just as a side note, when Tom came back from getting breakfast, I said I had to go because I had classes. He looked pretty shocked. Then I told him I only work at workplace, part-time, and I'm also a student. He just said goodbye, and that's the last I ever saw or heard of him. So we never contacted each other again. I later found him on the website's homepage. He is indeed a professor, but for a completely different course. Like, if I would study communications and he would teach microbiology. I hope this makes him look less like a predator, as some commenters have called him. So the thing Danielle has on me is actually not cheating on a test, but sleeping with a prof and taking pics of exam sheets, even though completely unrelated to my courses, as a proof of being at his place, presumably sleeping with him. Now that I think of it, though, she doesn't really have evidence on that. The picture I took only shows the piece of paper on a wooden desk. I could have found it on campus or something. She also knows of smoking weed, but as many of you have pointed out, that is not something the police would be interested in. Anyway, I read through all your comments. Some of you said that she would incriminate herself by outing me because she cheated on an exam. Well, that wouldn't be the case, but everyone seems to agree that IP address tracking doesn't work the way I imagined, so she doesn't really have anything on me, right? I still don't really want to go to the police, especially because of Tom, because he's a genuinely nice guy. I actually thought about contacting him again after I finish my degree, but don't know if that's a good idea. I'm still afraid if Danielle went to the college or police, just saying that a professor was sleeping with a student, they wouldn't even need any evidence and still launch an investigation because it's such a touchy subject. so I'm not sure about that. I think the best course of action would be to write Danielle something like this. Hello, Danielle. Unfortunately, I have no idea what you are talking about. I have never sent out any exam answers, but what you are doing sounds a lot like blackmail, which is illegal to my knowledge. For the sake of our old friendship, I will not directly go to the police for now, as I'm suspecting you didn't really mean what you said in your note. I heard that tutor is great at helping students get started with their thesis, and I'm sure he can help you. What do you think? Or just ignore? I also talked to the other 3 girls involved, and they all deleted the email, and as they're not in contact with Danielle either, I don't think I need to worry about them. TL, Doctor. Not sure if I should deny or ignore Danielle completely. Relevant comments, Teardrop 87, quit trying to play nice here. Take the thumb drive she gave you, and all the communications you have from her to the professor in charge of the thesis. Tell them exactly what she wants you to do, and tell them she's saying she'll tell everyone you slept with a professor and stole answers for a test while he was grading them. You did neither of those things, but you know what those kinds of accusations can do to a student, much less whatever professor she decides you slept with. Ask what they plan to do about it, because there's no way you're writing her thesis, but you don't want to get in trouble for something you didn't do. OOP, I think that's actually a good idea. In my last thread, many people told me to just deny everything, but it seems I didn't really do anything illegal, and I think she actually deserves to have this brought to the attention of her professor. Random pants appear. I then took a pic of the answer sheet and sent an email to 4 friends of mine, including Danielle, writing something really douchey along the lines of, "This is how you get yourself through college," or something. It was supposed to be funny, but I cringed typing that. This is seriously what this is all about. Yeah, your reply works, but why were you ever taking this seriously? I doubt the professor would even get in trouble. He didn't know you were a student. You weren't in his field, and he stopped immediately after finding out. Both of you can corroborate this. This girl has so little on you, I'm amazed you even took it seriously. OOP, I'm really relieved. Danielle and my group of friends have been giving me shit for this ever since it happened, pretending like it's the most disgusting thing in the world to sleep with an older guy and always making jokes about him, us going to jail for it. Edit, okay, seems like I actually did nothing wrong. Drop your verdict in the comments. Wait, what?